to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's story, we are discussing OnlyFans model Courtney Clenney, who brutally stabbed her boyfriend to death in what she says was self-defense. And so we're going to be diving into that moment she heard he was deceased and her reaction and talk about her reaction a little bit on it. So don't go anywhere. Be right back. OnlyFans model Courtney Clenney, she has been charged with brutally stabbing her boyfriend to death, and she was seen sobbing in an interrogation video where she first originally found out about this heinous crime that she committed. And she says that it was self-defense. She is accused of killing her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli, 27 years old, back in April after stabbing him with a knife. In the video, detectives begin by saying, "We have to inform you that Christian did not make it." And that's where it's extremely sad that he lost his life. It's extremely sad that this domestic violence once again has occurred. We don't want this to happen, right? This is never part of the plan, is it? Right? And so Daily Mail was sharing this video, and so I'm going to share with you some of what's in that. I'm not going to play the video. In the video, a detective begins by saying, "We have to inform you that Christian did not make it." And Courtney, she immediately gasps before placing one of her hands on her neck and the other on her knee. She looked pretty upset, but at the same time, it almost, the way she was talking a little bit was like, how much in shock are you? Is this a scene? Are you acting? The interrogator attempts to continue. Unfortunately, the doctors did what they could, and she then interrupts while breathing heavily. "Christian is dead. Oh my God, this is not real, right? No effing way Christian died." Clenney then asks for a hug, wondering if that is allowed in here. She asked that question, can I get a hug? Is that allowed in here? One of the other men in the room offers, but she only accepts him holding her shoulder as he tells her to relax. They then ask her if she's okay. Clenney responds, breathing heavily, "I need to hug my mom," and saying, "I cannot be left alone in a room by myself." What does she mean by that? Does that mean that she's going to do something to herself? Because I do remember this comment back in May or something like that coming out. And there was sharing about that little piece. "I cannot be left alone in a room by myself." Does that mean she's going to do something to herself? She again tries to get the interrogators to tell her that this isn't happening, saying she knows, but she can't believe it. The detectives respond by saying they'll get her parents there as soon as possible. Eventually, she begins visibly crying and trying to remain in denial over his death and angry that she wasn't allowed to go to the hospital to be with him. One of the detectives tell her, "We can't undo what has already happened. This is gonna be a process." Courtney then talks about how she had worried about having killed Obumseli, saying that she believed he'd have died if her aim had been slightly different. The detectives continue to promise her that her family is on their way and that we're gonna get you some support. At one point, Clenney noted that Obumseli's last meal before the stabbing had been from Subway. The interrogators, they offer her a meal, but Clenney declined. "What I really need is a hit of vape," badly, and even admits she's fully addicted to it as the detectives leave. She also said she knew his passwords, which allowed detectives to get in touch with Obumseli's family. Clenney, she has pleaded not guilty to this going back on a prior confession to authorities amid a mountain mass of evidence against her. Now she maintains her innocence after being arrested 4 months after the murder. And she was arrested at a Hawaii rehabilitation center after suffering a supposed nervous breakdown. Now, 2 weeks ago, Clenney, she was seen visibly sobbing in a Florida courtroom after being denied bail. And she was hoping she could get some bail, but they did not approve any bail. And so she was visibly crying about it because she thought she would be able to spend time with her family, be with her family, be out in the open. Clenney's team, they wanted her to be free until the beginning of the trial, but that fell on the defense's argument that her use of a kitchen knife in the brutal killing was a matter of self-defense. They're saying this is self-defense. Let my client out, give her bail, give her something. And the judge's order made it clear that the court felt Clenney, who she is well known under the pseudonym Courtney Taylor on OnlyFans, which is a website. So she has amassed millions posting graphic content under the name Courtney Taylor before and even after this incident. She posted stuff to that. I've never been on there, so I really don't even know what that site is completely about. But if she's sharing graphic, well, then that tells me a little bit more about it, which I already had an idea because I've reported on this, but I've never been to the site. But she literally added more content to her channel after Obumseli had been deceased. And so her defense, they believe that this was all self-defense and she should be let out. There is no dispute that defendant killed victim in this case, reads the case filing, before going on to say that the only factual issue in dispute is whether defendant was acting in self-defense. The judge then referenced the large amounts of evidence currently facing Courtney, which offered the court insight into the increasingly toxic relationship between the pair, which ultimately led to this April 3rd incident. And text messages and security video appear to suggest that Clenney was the instigator in the buildup to this incident. A sentiment that the defense has since insisted is not the case, despite all this evidence, including text messages and security footage showing her alleged abuse of her beau. They literally had a toxic relationship. A lot of stuff has come out since this about that. Now, I've never heard of this girl before this incident. I didn't know Christian. Rest in peace, Christian Obumseli. I know a lot of people have went at Christian because of his choice in women and what he wanted in a female. So nothing should have led to this. Nothing. And that's why this is a tragic case. This is a tragic case for both Courtney and Obumseli, because they had a toxic relationship. He wasn't perfect in the relationship. There were other incidents. And after the first bad incident, she should have walked away. She should have knew that she has a problem. She should have knew that this is a toxic relationship. I must get out of here before I do the unthinkable. Well, she did the unthinkable. And now she wants to act like she is shocked as to what happened. You can see one of her days in court when she was hoping for a bail hearing, which did not come into fruition. But allowing that the defendant, Courtney, and victim, Obumseli, had a sadly volatile relationship, Cruz claimed that. From the evidence presented during this hearing, the court does not find defendant's claim of self-defense on April 3rd, 2022 credible. And so that's what they're saying in court, right? That's what they're saying in court, according to this filing. And therefore, this claim she went on, does not render doubtful the state of Florida's case, as the defense had previously said. And this is the judge speaking in this. That's why she did not receive any luck, should I say. The order went on to elaborate how Clenney's version of the night in question was not backed up by evidence, citing one inconsistency in particular: testimony from a Miami medical examiner that rejected Clenney's account that she threw a knife at a then rampaging Obumseli, because she said she threw the knife. But the medical examiner was like, no way. When asked if a stab wound could have been caused by a thrown knife, the medical official simply answered no, saying that force needed to penetrate the skin and muscle of Obumseli, who suffered a punctured artery before he died, could not be generated from a distance. Basically, what has occurred, she did not throw the knife. She put this knife in him. So that testimony that was delivered previously in the week leading up to the order served as just one facet of the state's burgeoning case against the model, which is bolstered by text messages, security footage, photos that suggest Clenney engaged in an extensive campaign of both mental and physical abuse against her boyfriend in the months before his death. And you can see what came off of that bloody knife that Clenney used to stab Obumseli on April 3rd at the pair's Miami apartment, One Paraiso. And, you can even see where the knife had stuck him. This photo I got from Daily Mail. I'm not too sure if they created it themselves, but messages from Obumseli's iCloud get into incidents in particular that would have raised concerns if seen by someone outside the context of the couple's relationship that was very toxic. On one occasion last year, Obumseli wrote that he had been stabbed twice by an angered Courtney in the leg. He mentioned in text how he was subsequently left so badly injured that he could barely walk. In another flashpoint the next day, a still heard Obumseli described yet another attack in which he was hit in the head by his girlfriend and left with a concussion. Then, in late January, Obumseli suffered 2 cuts to his cheek and chin after another alleged skirmish, with his wounds captured in photos since obtained by police for this investigation. Those injuries were supposedly severe enough that the since killed Obumseli would have to admit himself to a hospital to get stitches. So they had a very bad relationship, and she has hurt him before this. Remind you about that. She has done really bad things with weapons before. Now, details surrounding these fights were given for the first time in the recently released text, which I did a video on that as well when that came out. So you can go back to see in the playlist if you want to go catch up with that. But it revealed that in the weeks before his death, Obumseli agonized about being subjected to racial slurs and intensifying violence at the hands of Courtney. And after being released last month, an attorney for Obumseli's family said that the texts and recordings show Clenney terrorized Obumseli's life, adding that they are planning to file a wrongful death civil lawsuit against the model. Now, they also claim that the text messages provide concrete proof that Clenney had not been acting in self-defense when she stabbed her boyfriend, despite the defense's repeated assertions. And it's a clear pattern of her being unhinged and out of control. That's what Miami attorney Larry Hanfeld had said, representing the Obumseli family. She was a threat and has demonstrated a pattern of violence, and clearly that fateful day it came to an end. Now, obviously, the media has been sharing so much about this, and we still have not really found a claim of self-defense. We haven't really found much that said he was brutally attacking this girl on a regular basis. The first text messages that took place in October 2021, when the couple were still living in Texas, and saw Obumseli talked about how Clenney had stabbed him in the leg following an argument, and that his wound hurt so bad he couldn't effing walk. That's how bad it was. And you can see this image right here, this security footage that was taken from the building's elevator where they live 2 months before the murder, also showed Clenney viciously attacking her boyfriend, who appeared not to fight back at that time. And so that's where it's like we don't really know much other than, right now it looks really bad for her. In another message, Obumseli relayed the next morning, I still woke up happy. I still gave you a good day, even though my leg was hurting because my girlfriend stabbed me. And he went on, did I make you feel like SHIT for stabbing me? No, just sucked it up and hoped tomorrow will be better. These are the kind of things that are heartbreaking. Heartbreaking that this guy was willing to forgive her, willing to move on, and it's like, hey, I know you stabbed me, I'm still hurt, but I'm gonna still show you a great day. I don't know. I don't even know how to reply. I don't even know what to say about that. It's things like that when you don't listen to these red flags. There were obviously red flags, and something kept drawing him back to her. I do believe that he was in love with her. Why else would you stay and be abused like this? What if he snaps and beats her up or something? He's going to be in jail for a long time. He's going to have the whole world at him. Well, now look what happened, because he didn't get away. And I feel so bad for this guy. This girl obviously lost it, that moment of rage, of passion. I'm guessing she would like to take this back. I mean, it's a guess, because right now she's saying self-defense. That's not saying I want to take it back. I'm saying I defended my life, but there's no concrete evidence about that. And you can even hear on the 911 call, right? That when she made the 911 call about the knife, you can hear like she was sobbing big time. Like she didn't know it was going to go this far, the way it almost sounds. I'm going to tell you right now, I believe, again, this is just me throwing this out there. This is speculation. I believe she will be found guilty, but she will not spend the rest of her life in prison. That's my guess out of the gate. We still don't know much on this, but that is my guess. She will be found guilty, but I don't think she'll spend the rest of her life in jail for this murder. Just my thought as of now. But in another conversation the next day, Obumseli anguished over an additional incident of alleged abuse where he said Clenney spit on him while pounding her phone on his face and on the back of his head. More abuse. Still hurting from the injury sustained in that tiff, Obumseli, who is a cryptocurrency trader and investor, he pleaded with Courtney to open the door to their apartment so he could recover on the couch after she beat the poop out of him. The messages saw Obumseli say that he believed he had a concussion and that he was bleeding and vomiting. And now I have a lump, I'm bleeding, throwing up. That's what Obumseli texted, continuing, I think I got a mild concussion and have anxiety. He further said that he slept in the apartment building's bathroom for 2 hours in the wake of this alleged attack and that he was just lost beyond words. 5 minutes later, Obumseli's girlfriend responded in a text that saw her admit to engaging in the abusive behavior before seemingly brushing it off as no more than a lover's quarrel. I'm sorry for hitting you in the face and the back of your head and spitting on you. Is it right? No, you just pissed me TF off. But still love you. She didn't say, but I still love you. She said, but still love you. It's a weird relationship. Then, on January 30th, after Clenney and Obumseli had moved to the apartment building in Edgewater, where Obumseli would eventually be killed, more texts revealed the pair's plans to purchase blow, which is the street slang for a drug that's white and it starts with CO and it finishes with cane. Later that night, when Obumseli was out watching a football game, the pair argued over the tone of their messages to each other, with Clenney growing upset that of after her boyfriend answered one text with, "Yes, Courtney." "Yes, Courtney is unnecessary," Clenney texted Obumseli. According to the Herald, "I continue to have to explain to you how to act." You hear that? She says to him, "I continue to have to explain to you how to act." Is that what a narcissistic person does? The couple would then reunite before engaging in another fight, however. The details surrounding what exactly went down is unclear. What is public knowledge is that Obumseli would end up in a hospital after suffering 2 gashes to his face, requiring several stitches. As Obumseli was on his way to the facility, Clenney sent an ominous text message that strongly suggests that she had harmed him. Hopefully, this will give you time to think about your actions. That's what the text message said to him, with Clenney eventually pithily adding, "Enjoy the hospital." Wow. "Tell them your side, then I'll tell them what happened." That's what she said to him. Obumseli then quickly wrote back, "I'm not saying anything, and I'm going to say football incident." So she did something to him, and he's willing to say, "Oh, I got hurt through a football incident." And if you have been following domestic cases a lot, I could literally remember this one time. I was a teenager, and a friend of mine at this time, this was a friend that was an adult, and she was close to me at that time. And her husband, well, she called him husband, it was really boyfriend, baby daddy, living together. And he beat the poop out of her. Beat the poop out of her. You know what she said? "I fell in the bathroom." How many times have we heard that one before? This guy's a really big guy. Not someone I would want to get into something with. And he beat this this lady. I don't care what she did. I don't even know, but there's no doubt that he had done that. You see how they'll blame it on something else as to why they were beat up or abused, and then can't come clean, right? Because someone will get arrested, or everything changes. Everything changes, right? So domestic violence is a really big thing. Truth is, we wish it didn't happen. These are supposed to be people who love each other, and yet here it is, right? And so her messages go on to paint a picture of how later that evening and into the the next day, a bedridden Obumseli repeatedly chastised his girlfriend over the alleged assault and getting stabbed multiple times. And he said, "I was in a hospital looking forward to seeing you, and you go drink and leave with someone." Apparently frustrated that Clenney wasn't home upon his return the following day. He then complained to her how she had been partying throughout his hospitalization while her boyfriend is passed out on the bed getting stitched up because "I lost too much blood." And days after Obumseli was stabbed, Clenney was regretful in a series of long-winded apologies. She's like, "I love you so much, Christian. I should have been at the hospital with you, and I should have slept next to you. I always have," she said via text. "I feel extreme regret, sadness, and humiliation, and I am so sorry for hurting you." Within the next 3 months, after another argument, Obumseli would end up deceased, stabbed multiple times by Clenney. Stabbed by Clenney, I don't know about multiple times. Well, I guess multiple times over the course, but that one night, I think it was one stabbing on that April incident. But he did have multiple stabbings from her, who then called police, hysterically claiming she acted in self-defense. It was not for another 4 months that Clenney was taken into custody for his murder, with cops tracking her down to a rehab in Hawaii where she said she was receiving treatment for drug abuse and PTSD allegedly suffered as a result of this incident. Obumseli's family was subsequently left furious over Detective's failure to charge Clenney in the immediate aftermath of his death, saying it was because of her privilege as a wealthy white woman and not because of her self-defense claim. And is there any truth to that? Could that at all be possible? In a statement posted on Instagram, his brother Jeffrey Obumseli and the family wrote they do not believe Clenney and that she be charged. The pair, they moved to the city of Miami at the start of the year. Almost immediately, staff and residents at the One Paraiso building reported multiple domestic disturbance complaints about the couple and had even moved to evict them. And days before Obumseli was killed, police were called to the apartment complex after a distraught Clenney told them that Obumseli had been stalking her. And body camera footage of the interaction showed security guards corroborating her story and describing how Obumseli came towards her. Within days, he was rushed to a nearby hospital, but eventually died from his injuries. And, I've shared some of these graphic photos before, and I'm not going to do it again, but it showed that Clenney stabbed the much larger Obumseli inches above a tattoo of her name, which I showed you a little earlier, on the left side of his chest. And Miami detective said in court that he originally believed Clenney stabbed Obumseli in self-defense, but further altered his assessment. And that detective testified to the court that he learned that Christian was always the one trying to calm the situation down. And based on the messages and everything else, he was always the one getting hurt, and the defendant is the one unable to control herself and hurt him. Clenney, on the other hand, has attempted to paint a picture of Obumseli as a violent and obsessive stalker. That's part of her self-defense in this case. Prosecutors, on the other hand, they have built a case around symbols of Clenney as the primary aggressor in what was a relationship gone bad, who thoughtlessly took Obumseli's life in a fit of rage. And to back up her self-defense claims, her attorney previously asked the Obumseli's corpse be dug up and inspected by a medical examiner. And Quinnen's filing additionally says that Clenney routinely beat up her Obumseli over the course of the relationship. He testified that Clenney had one time stabbed him in the leg and sliced his lip with a blade. I mean, this is exactly what I mean. Some of the things that she did to him. Why bring that stuff into this? Why does she even think this is not going to catch up to her? Now, lawyer Catherine Fernandez said Clenney claimed to have stabbed him in the chest after Obumseli grabbed her by the throat at the Miami airport in April. So she's saying that he grabbed her by the throat at an airport, but where's the proof on that? Now, Courtney's attorney, Frank Prieto, he alluded to several calls Obumseli made during his frequent fights with his girlfriend that are unflattering of his client. If you know you're being recorded, you're going to say what you want to say, right? Prieto asked the detective. That person has an advantage to know he's being recorded. Yes, that's what the attorney's asking, right? One video that prosecutors leaked appears to show Clenney repeatedly calling Obumseli the N-word as he pleads with her to calm down. Clenney claimed she threw the knife at her boyfriend from about 10 feet away, but Fernandez said the autopsy revealed a deep wound that could only be inflicted from a short distance. And the OnlyFans star was temporarily taken into custody after police found her coated in blood on her balcony after the stabbing was later released because they believe she acted in self-defense. She was arrested for domestic battery in Las Vegas months later, and police were called to their home in Austin, Texas on several occasions. They have a history of violence. Now, messages revealed that weeks ahead of his death, Obumseli was clearly in great agony in a message to his alleged killer and girlfriend about being subjected to being called the racial slur and her repeated physical and emotional abuse. Obumseli asked in March, "Is love going to kill me?" Unfortunately, a month later, yes. And he even says, "February was the worst month I had so far. I got cheated on. I got called the word again. I got slapped in my stitches." That he has that has reopened multiple times, and it's not healing fast enough. Nearly a day after her arrest, Clenney's popular OnlyFans account was taken down, and she is currently in custody as she waits for the beginning of her trial to start, and it is said to start very soon. This is the One Paraiso building in Miami. My friends, if you are, these are signs. This is why I do this channel. These are signs that if any of this sounds like something that resonates with your relationship, whether you are what she's doing or whether you are what he's doing, pay attention. Pay attention to the red flags, because truth is, that's how it goes deeper. That's how it gets worse. My friends, these are tragic, tragic things. That's why I do this, because these are the things that you need to be aware of that can go wrong that fast, my friends. And it is stories like this that are heartbreaking. This could have been prevented if she didn't lose it or he left sooner. But he stayed with her. I'm guessing he was truly in love with her. I don't know. I don't know Christian personally, so I can't really speak for him. I don't know what he was saying to his best friends. I don't know what she was saying. I mean, he says she cheated on him. He's in the hospital. She goes and leaves with someone else. I don't know why he stayed with her. Was it because of her looks? Is that why? He was known to date only white women. I think that's why some are upset at him. I don't think it should ever lead to this. I don't think it should ever lead to this. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have an amazing day. And my friends, be careful out there. It is a crazy world we live in. And at the end of the day, I just want you to be safe. I want you to be alert. I want you to be careful, because this is another sign of what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. My friends, I look forward to serving you and being a voice for the victims again. Rest in peace, Christian Obumseli. Have a great day. Peace.